Good to be joined again by T-Ports' Tim Gurney, Business Development and Client Relations Manager. Tim, how are you going today?
Good, thanks, Ricky. Good to be with you again.
Yes, we wanted to talk with you straight after we heard that you are actually, last time we spoke, you were on the cusp of, well, you're talking about some full operations at Wallaroo by mid-next year, but now you've received your first shipment into Wallaroo.
First grower load for the season, which is fantastic, into the Wallaroo bunkers. It was just a really good milestone, Ricky. Great family, a local family business, large aggregations around the catchment zone, and just really good to kick it off. It was a really good milestone for the business, and obviously taking more loads today. Really excited.
And a good sign as well that farmers are actually getting their crop off in the first place, because that's been quite challenging in some parts.
Yeah, the last weeks probably hasn't been too bad with the weather scenario. A few showers kicking around at the minute, and maybe over the weekend, but we'll get back into the swing of things sort of mid to late next week.
Now, what does that mean for growers, just in the immediate term that you're taking those loads in at Wallaroo? What sort of scale have you got available there?
Oh, yeah, so the Wallaroo bunker site has a capacity of around 240,000 tonnes. That should, we've got 4 high-capacity dough stackers there at, 550 tonnes per hour, taking wheat grades at the moment. It's a good suite of segregations for the growers and good elevation capacity on site.
And what's the method in terms of how you're getting this onto ships? Is it different to what people might be familiar with in other places?
That's a good question, mate. Yeah, it is. And I guess that's what the T-Port stands for, Ricky. It's transshipment or transshipping ports, T-Ports. So I guess our method is very different to what I guess the traditional methods have been around Australia, and certainly in South Australia, where traditionally a Panamax vessel comes up the Gulf of South Australia, puts its anchors out, gets the green light to go into a jetty that might have been built a kilometre long, but can only partly load or half load. But it's got to be pilot. The pilot's got to bring that vessel in. There's got to be a couple of tugs to berth the vessel. There's got to be mooring crew there. There's got to be berthing costs. Then they half load the vessel. Then it's obviously got to be unberthed, unmoored and unpiloted onto the next port, because it's a 2-port load scenario. So those marine costs are quite significant in the game. So, with T-Port's business model, we don't require those marine operations or tasks to be included in our business model. So, I guess, in a really easy sense, it is basically we can fully load a Panamax vessel at, say, 65,000 tonnes, only using 4 metres of water. So, our transshipper only needs 4 metres of water to then carry or transship, shuttle that grain out to a Panamax vessel sitting deeper out in the Gulf, 3 or 4 nautical miles out, and tranship that grain using our transhipper, 3 or 4 loads a day.
Yeah, it sounds like a made-for-purpose solution for South Australia, because our Gulf's are really not that deep when it comes to getting up to where the grain's being grown.
Correct, yeah, and that's where, I guess our motto is bringing the port closer to the product, and, only needing 4 metres of water, you haven't got the due diligence, I guess, of, or the limitations of, trying to look for 20 metres of water, 500 metres off the coast. There's plenty of places around the globe and Australia, but there's 4 or 5 metres very close to the shoreline that we can transship from.
And then in the release we got from you, you mentioned competitive advantages. You've got this additional export capacity to market. Is that what you're talking about, or some other element we haven't mentioned?
No, that's it, Ricky. I mean, obviously with the new port, it opens up extra export capacity for the grain traders to, export grain to their end users overseas. So that's just part and parcel of building a port, giving, extra export capacity.
And when you mentioned, the Wallaroo coming fully on stream, I guess, I'm paraphrasing here, by the middle of next year, what's different there compared to the loads you're getting now into Wallaroo?
Yeah, the grower loads are basically being delivered and received direct to the bunker site. The bunker site's ready and obviously taking loads. And then come mid-next year, once the transshipment belt on the transshipment causeway to load our transhipper is finished mid-next year, then we'll be able to move that grain from the bunker site to the transhipper and out to the Panamax vessels, first off in a commissioning phase.
Well, yep, good to see that competition. We know growers are enjoying some good pricing results as a result of their options here in South Australia. Tim Gurney from Teaports, thanks so much for joining us again on Flow.
Thanks, Ricky.